Hello. Sorry, I was sipping some coffee.
No, you're good. So, well, that was quite a transition because Dan, we are trying to thank Dan Siegel here. So Dan does a lot, but he was on the road and he said, I'm going to join the stream for a special location. I was like, are you going to Maui for this? He's like, no, I'm literally traveling down the highway. I'm going to stop at a rest area and try to do this. And his camera and his laptop, everything just got overheated. So we are glad to have you here, Sweeky.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you for
adjusting my Maui beach waves. Yes.
Okay, so Sweeky, tell us really quick, what do you do?
All right. So I work with DevDev. I work with a lot of people that you just spoke to all day today. So I'm part of a team that's led by Alex. And Alex I saw him in the chat a while ago. Maybe he'll come back.
He was, yeah.
So it's led by Alex. We are called the DevDev Customer Advisory Team. And we focus on client apps. And guess what? Maui falls under client apps. So lucky for us. So that's what we do. We work on Xamarin apps and Maui apps. I came into the team from the original Xamarin team. So this has been a fun ride so far and very excited. And I really like what we're doing with Maui. So super excited I'm really excited with the energy everybody has. So super nice.
Yeah, you're the bestest, and Alex is in the chat room here. You and the team are responsible for DevOps, and not just like how you are shipping software, but maybe even kind of thinking through how your customers might. So,
cool. This is okay. I love how this happens. So I'm going to take a chance to let's correct the narrative a little bit. Should we? So we work with customers trying to do anything and everything with mobile apps and client apps. So that includes Maui. That doesn't include Maui. So so DevOps is just part of a lot of different things that we do. And Lance Pakarsi, good for you. I hope you can tell me some stuff that I've been trying to do myself. So this is going to be fun. So so part of the different ways that we help our customers is DevOps. So let me actually share my screen. I've got some funky, not funky. I've got some stuff that should make it easier for me to make sense to what I was saying. There we go. All right. So if anyone is curious on what our team does, like I said, we help a bunch of customers do a lot of different things. A lot of our customers are highlighted on what's called the Xamarin Customer Showcase. How is the best way I share the links? Should I drop it in the chat and then you can share it? Okay, cool.
Chat is good.
All right. So
you feel free to drop it on Twitch as well, but I can do this as well.
Oh yeah, I just realized I do have my Twitch chat open. Okay, friends, so watch me look left, right, and center at all my different monitors today. All right, so like I said, our team does a lot of different stuff that includes DevOps, but we're all about Maui, all about making the Maui experience the best for all our customers, right? So you can read all the different customer stories if you want out here. My favorite thing to do off late is actually just listen to the Xamarin podcast. So if there's a Xamarin podcast that corresponds with a customer name, like for example, Blackboard, Dean just had worked with them. LivePerson's a good one. We have Polaris up here. I know we have the Academy Awards, Oscars in here as well. So you can go in and listen to the actual devs that we've helped be successful with Xamarin, and we will be successful with in the future with Maui. So that's kind of what our team does. And I just de facto turn out to be the face for anything DevOps. I don't mind it. I like DevOps. But yes, just wanted to let you know, there's only so much that I can, do and share. So, but I have a lot more control when you want to do things around Maui. Like, for example, the work I'm doing with Upgrade Assistant to make it work with Maui, so which is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, Maddie mentioned it this morning. So we are all kind of looking forward to what you and your team can pull through.
I'm looking forward to it too, because I think Javier mentioned it earlier. So Try Convert does have its initial Maui support in, which is great. So you can now, at the very least, convert things from the Xamarin projects to the CS project, to a project SDK style project. So that's the first step as part of any Maui migration at the moment. But what we're actually trying to do is add a lot of the goodness and a lot of the value into Upgrade Assistant to help you do things like, do the namespace updates and do manage out how your NuGet packages should be updated and things like that. So we're adding a lot more of the actual valuable, steps into Upgrade Assistant, and you'll be hearing about that soon.
Okay. All right. So what is it about DevOps that we should know?
Well, you should all be adding DevOps, first of all. Do not ignore it. More importantly, doing something like a migration to MAUI is a great step to add DevOps if your project doesn't have it, because what way to better test all the updates being added in just to make sure there's a CI system that verifies builds aren't broken, right? So to get started, so this is how I do it, right? So when I was looking at, okay, so what does DevOps on MAUI look like? So I know everybody knows this repo. It's the MAUI samples repo. I feel like everyone has already shared this all day today. So let me again remind you the MAUI samples repo. But I don't know if anyone has pointed out my favorite file in this whole sample repo, Azure Pipelines. Friends, the MAUI team,
so
the nicest.
Sweeky,
So I don't know why you guys hate us. Don't hate us, okay? We're really nice. We do everything out in the open, okay? And
Sweeky, if you don't mind, just bump up the fonts a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure. I can bump it up some more. This is the issue with me sharing on this monitor. But yes, so like I said, there is a actual Azure pipelines. This is what the MAUI team is using to verify the pipe samples are building. So if you're stuck, if you want to have a quick look at, hey, what's going on, this is a great place to start. It's got everything you need to get started. So what I wanted to point out is, like, so there's two ways to look at DevOps now for MAUI. So there's the first question would be like, hey, so what does the story look like for starting a brand new pipeline, which is my favorite. My monitor is not a jumbotron. It's just me having not presented on this monitor in a while, so I've forgotten how to do presentations. That's what it is. So like I was saying, so if it's a brand new pipeline, which is my favorite workflow at the moment, it is amazing because we're completely in .NET land. So no more having to do bizarro MS build setups and no more having to do bizarro extra tooling setup and all that jazz anymore. It's as simple as running MAUI check and doing a .NET build. Literally the pipeline of my dreams, to be honest. I have been waiting for this day, and .NET test for your tests. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? So it's really, really straightforward to do it. What you'll notice right now, though, is since we are in the in-between preview land, all of the VMs that are provided, that are hosted by Microsoft, don't always come pre-installed with pre-release bits. So that's where things get a little tricky. So just a quick heads up to anyone who's trying to do DevOps pipelines for MAUI right now, from now till it's absolute GA release, you will have to sort of you may want to just sort of be mindful of the fact that some of the bits, especially the preview bits, either may not be installed, or you may have to do a couple of extra things to get things running. So I'm just going to do like a quick run through of some do's and don'ts. Yeah, if you're using a Microsoft hosted agent, you'll have to do these steps that I'm going to be talking about right now, because you need to get the VM set up with the latest bits, right? So let's talk about a Windows machine at the moment, but I'm going to do something different. So this pipeline over here is for Azure DevOps. Theoretically, it's all the same. You want to do GitHub Actions, you want to do you want to do it in Azure DevOps. Everything we're talking about conceptually remains the same. It's just environment variables for each differ a little bit. So what I'm actually going to do is switch gears a bit. I have been nice to David for a change. It's not an EU David day, but EU David, there's a PR coming your way day. So I forked David's Weather 21, right? So I'm working on, this is my fork of, and if anybody is curious to see what's going on, let me share this. I mean, I'm gonna open the PR. Maybe we'll open it right now. Who knows? Let's see. But so essentially what I've been doing is I've been adding DevOps to Weather 21, right? Because this is our de facto. So what I'd like to put out there is anything that's happening. If you want to know the latest, greatest, proper way to do things, go check out Weather 21. We'll probably be just like dumping all the information in there. So let's have a look at what this is. So I'm doing this on GitHub Actions because it's the new hotness and I like using new hot things. So in GitHub Actions, like I said, so if you're using a Windows build machine, and in a Windows build machine, so you're using Windows latest, that's great. But you'll notice that it doesn't come pre-installed with the preview version of VS, which has all the bits that we need. So, and I also moonlight as Clancy's DevOps person for Comet. So we've been trying to fix this in both places. So Clancy did open up a PR. So we're kind of hoping this gets pulled in, so you don't have to use this install script that we have right now that installs the preview version of VS for you. But until this is merged in, life is a little more complex. It's not very complex. So basically, we have a PowerShell script in here that goes in and just installs VS for you. What that PowerShell script looks like, I cannot take credit for this. This is our good friend Matthew Leibowitz from Skia Sharp. It's basically his script I copied and tweaked a little bit because he fixed it for Skia Sharp. So thank you, Matthew. So this is basically what the script does.
So this is VS 2022?
This pulls down int preview right now, not VS 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, so it pulls down the int preview for VS 2019. That's kind of does it put out VS 2022? Good question. No. It's int preview for 2019, not int preview, just preview for 2019, and it pulls down. There's some extra physics and like extensions you need specifically only for WinUI. So again, if you're not building anything in WinUI, you can just like skip over this whole thing. You kind of don't need it, and we don't do this in the Mac at all because we don't build WinUI in that. So this is only specifically to get the WinUI part of your project to work. So this pulls down, as I was saying, the VS int preview stuff for you. Sorry, not int. I keep saying int preview. I meant preview. This is just too many previews going on, and there's too many names for too many previews. So yes, so anything that I say preview, it just means the latest previews of everything. So yes, you need those reunion extensions, and that's kind of what this install script does for you. And please feel free to go grab it and give a huge thanks to Matthew on Twitter. If you want to see the actual Skia script, what he does for Skia Sharp, go peek in the Skia Sharp library and take a look at what he does, because I basically stole it from there. Well, not stole it, borrowed it, because he's my friend and he let me do it. Anyway, so next step. After that, the next thing is to make sure that the preview that we just installed is your default MS build. So again, this is not super tricky. It's just, again, using the .NET tool, and we're doing the VS Where and adding it to. So this is GitHub paths because I'm using a GitHub Actions VM. You just want to make sure you're using the appropriate environment variable for your machine. So if it's in Azure DevOps, you want to use the Azure DevOps environment variable. That's it. And after that, it's pretty much straightforward. So next thing we're going to do is install Net6 Preview. Again, this is like a straightforward, we're just pulling down a PowerShell script that does it. Next up, this is actually, once we're out of preview land, all you won't be doing any of those first three steps that we did. You literally just be doing MAUI check. That's it. So our good friend MAUI check has a --CI override to it, which makes, and you put a non-interactive. So actually CI and non-interactive are kind of the same thing. I don't know why I put both in there. I just wanted to be safe, I guess. So you can just use CI and not interactive. That puts it in the non-interactive mode. And you put in a fix. I skipped a couple of things just because I wanted to speed up the time. And of course, I don't want to do like VS Mac setup stuff on a Windows machine. So you can tweak your MAUI check as you need it, but if you don't really want to like think too much about it, just doing a --CI at the very least should get you through, right? So that's essentially it. That's like the main setup you have to do.
That is a very good point, because like MAUI check has so many of these parameters that we rarely use. If you're just like setting up your own local dev machine, that's one thing, but you have those non-interactive, those CI and other things if you are doing this on a CI/CD build.
Yep. So what I did notice is adding the skip Xcode and skip VS Mac definitely helps the error output of MAUI check to be a little shorter. So you know what, I will say adjust as you will, and also completely, like I said, all of this is out there. I'll be PRing this into Weather 21, so it'll be out for everyone to use. So feel free to use it as a sample and add more steps to this. After that, so this is me being a little OCD. Technically, .NET Build is super smart. It does everything for you, but I just wanted to be sure, and I put in a .NET Restore. And the rest of it is fairly familiar to anyone who's done, build steps manually from a command line. Build, so basically we're building the whole solution so we're doing an Android build over here. And then I do the WinUI projects in debug and in release. And the last bit, I was actually just making it publish the Android APK just to be sure that I'm not fudging and making all this up, because I don't know, I feel like no one trusts me when I say things. But here you go. Please, you can ignore my very not so great commit messages, but this is the artifact. This, if you download it, it will pull up a zip file. And in the magic zip file, can you see how many times I've had to prove this to people? Like, it works. So let's see what we have in here, friends. We
Hey,
have,
Sweeky, I'm going to
Yeah.
take one quick second here while you're going through that. We are less than 30 minutes till the end. And folks, we have had a form out there. If you have not filled it up, please take the time to do so, because there are Amazon gift cards up for grabs. And we shall announce towards the end of this. Okay, so just that.
Nice. Yep, everyone do it. Win gifts, win prizes. If I was watching, I'd totally be doing that. Okay, anyway, so look at this beautiful build. It looks like our good old Xamarin builds, does it not? Yes, it's so much better than that. I cannot wait for the day when I don't have to do these 3 steps anymore. I just have to run MAUI check. But yeah, and that's what it is. So yeah, and as I was showing to you, you have our APK, it gets pulled up. I am not downloading the WinUI artifact. I should probably maybe do that. I just realized, don't hate me, everybody who does WinUI. It's not out of hate. I just kind of forgot. By default, my brain just like puts stuff for like IPAs and APKs. So apologies.
It is funny. So like we have been talking about WinUI, like somehow the WinUI story here, I mean, again, like since there are multiple teams involved, like with the preview extensions of Project Reunion, with their they had a separate project for just the MSIX package, and so somehow like MAUI is having to kind of pull WinUI along for the ride, so to speak.
We got you.
Yeah.
Like I said, my team will make sure that the dev story for all this is great, because that's kind of literally what we do all day. Like this, I'm trying out these bizarro things on pipelines just to like share with the world on how this could work. Yeah, so like I said, so the story on Windows is great. We're getting beautiful green builds. I'm getting my APKs. Project Union stuff is building. Awesome. The sad part of the story, unfortunately, is Mac, which is still red. And the reason it's red, it's not because for my lack of trying. So I just realized I actually had the damn things open. So let's take a look at this, right? Okay. So
Sweeky, font's too small.
Oh yes, of course it's too small. Come on. Let's see. Are we better now? I'm gonna
yes.
Let this guy go. We don't need this. Okay. So the story on Mac. The story on Mac is a sad story. It's not a sad story. It's a nice story, except when Apple, being Apple, is not letting us do things anymore, right? So setting up things for the Mac is actually a lot simpler than it is in Windows. You don't have to do that whole installing script for trying to get a preview for anything. All you skip to is installing Net6 preview and running MAUI check. So someone is going to definitely, I don't know how no one's not picked this up, but someone's going to ask me that, oh, hey, why are you installing Net6 and then installing MAUI? Doesn't MAUI install Net6? Excellent question. These build machines are a little stupid. They don't really understand that fact. So you kind of need to do a little bit of setup for it before, and then MAUI check does and actually pulls down. So I don't know if you guys have been following Maddie and David's talks, but the MAUI stuff is a workload added to Net6. So MAUI check cannot do anything unless you have the Net6 previews first on your machine. And that is why we do it in this order and not in any other way. And if you've done DevOps stuff before, ordering is really important. They don't like it if you don't order things correctly, right? So anyways, moving on, I kind of do the same stuff here. I'm still skip Xcode and skip VS Win just because I don't want to deal with, like error messages. But like I said, feel free to adjust your MAUI check overloads based on what you're trying to do and optimize it for your best build experience. I like to optimize for time. You don't have to. Completely up to you. All right. So next, so the issue with our Mac builds right now. So if I were to just like remove all of this and just do it for Android, we'd be golden. We'd have green builds. Like I'd have green builds like a week before. And I think I saw your tweet about it, and I saw a couple of other folks tweet about it with our new dance with Xcode 13 beta ones. So this is, I'm gonna switch back to another cool nifty tip. I keep chanting this every single time I have to talk DevOps, but I'm gonna drop this link. This is my favorite thing to do, right? So have you ever been in the situation where you're like, yes, I'm using Microsoft hosted agents, but what is installed in the Microsoft hosted agent that I'm trying to use? This, my friend, is the doc that will save your life and has saved my life countless number of times. A couple of things I want to highlight here, apart from, so we'll go into the included software links in a bit. So my favorite thing is if you go down to the FAQs, okay? And if you scroll down to a section, which is, okay, how do I manually select versions of tools hosted on Mac OS agents? Have you, friends, asked this question to yourself many a times and cried for 20 minutes, not understanding what's going on? Yes, I have to. And this is why this is bookmarked top of my thing, all the time. So anytime I start doing anything DevOps, this is the first place I go to. So the FAQs is a good section to come in to see how to like set a specific Xcode version, how to set a specific, Xamarin version for Xamarin things and things like that. Super handy, super nifty. Be tuned. There will obviously be updates made to this when Maui stuff goes live. But if you are still trying to do Xamarin pipelines for now, this is your best friend.
I didn't know about this in this document. This is good to know. Matt is saying reasons to avoid DevOps.
There you go. So I mean, it's not as hard as everyone makes it. People think I'm like some DevOps whisperer. I am not. I am a nerd for documentation, and I find documentation that works.
So here's the thing. I mean, we are dealing with a lot of kind of moving parts here, and yes, some of this takes a little bit of like fudging because they're all preview builds. But hold on, I think where is that? Yeah, this one. So AC Nichols here. Thank you, by the way. That's a great comment. But the reality is what we're doing here with .NET MAUI is reaching across these platform boundaries. Like you're literally using .NET to reach Mac, to reach iOS or Android.
Yep.
Yes, we have been able to do that with Xamarin.Forms, but things are getting better. So what you're dealing with is Apple and Microsoft and different ecosystems kind of all talking to each other, and you need some of this stuff. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So like I said, yep. Like I said, right, it's going to be a little wonky in a build pipeline till it's in GA. So like I said, feel free to use 100 different like resources that are like I've been using. Feel free to use my pipelines. It's going to be a little weird, I guess, till we're in like GA. But once we're GA, we're all in with .NET. It should be smooth sailing. Like I cannot wait for the day I can just do .NET test on a Maui project, and that's it. That's all I have to do. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. So this table is another godsend lifesaver. So if you're wondering, okay, so like, hey, why is my Mac build not doing what it's supposed to do? Let's see what it's not doing supposed to do, because I don't know. I don't have all the answers. So I'm going to look here. So this basically is a GitHub like repo, which is constantly updated with every single version of what is installed when you pick a you pick a Mac OS latest, or you pick a Mac OS like a Windows latest machine. Whatever you pick, are you curious what's in it? This is a full list of all of the stuff that comes pre-installed. So for us, for Xamarin devs, this is essentially where you want to go to. So in case you want to like maybe use a particular build of Xamarin Mac and Xamarin Android and so they have symlinks already set up, and how to run this symlink is in that FAQ that we were just looking at before. All the scripts are all in there. You just want to cross-relate which symlink value to use in that script. That's it. So right now, though, we're trying to figure out what Xcode is on this machine. It only has 12.4. I don't see any of the betas in here. That is why at the moment doing the late, so if you're on preview 6 of Maui and you're having build issues on Mac, on your iOS or Mac Catalyst apps, this is probably it. And also just to do a sanity check, so Alex has been doing some work. So I pulled down his, so I forked a repo of his. This is all I do, by the way. I just go around looking for open source repos and I add DevOps to them. That's literally, that's my job now. But yeah, so if you were curious what error message to look for, this is basically what's going to pop up. So it's going to be like, this version requires, the Xcode 13, and obviously these build machines currently do not have Xcode 13. So this is kind of what I've been dealing with. So today's Wednesday. So this is kind of what I've been trying to like figure out this week. Since it's not end of the week, no one can yell at me for not having this fixed yet. But outside, if you really, really want to unblock yourself, self-host a machine and use that as your build pool, and you can have, your bits installed for sure. If you're looking for a way around, like if you want to still use the Microsoft hosted machines, which I just showed you, unfortunately, we don't have our stuff in it yet. It's going to be a little tricky. And I don't have an end date or a one-shot answer for you at the moment, but stay tuned. If I have an issue, I usually tend to fix it. I fixed the reunion stuff, so there's going to be a fix for the iOS stuff soon. So it's coming soon. What else? What else did I want to talk to you about? Let's see. So I have that. In case anyone is curious on how to get a Maui pipeline set up for a library and not an app, my go-to suggestion will be to go check out Comet. Sorry, I don't know why I was blanking on that. So check out Comet. Clancy and I have been pushing updates to get the Comet Nuggets to build again for Net 6, and we've been fairly successful. So if you are curious on how it is to build your library through DevOps and if your library is supporting Maui and you want to look at what a DevOps pipeline for that would look like, go check it out. So we've been fixing this quite a bit of late. You will notice there's some interesting weirdness in this, where we're using MS Build and we're using .NET Build and we're using like a lot of mixture of stuff. That's just the game at the moment if you're supporting multiple things. But it's not very hard. It's pretty straightforward. So yes, if you're curious on how library stuff works, check out Comet Build. But like I said, the base concept stays the same. You still have to do your preview installs. You still have to do your Net 6 installs. And like I said, Maui check for the win. So throw in Maui check, and you should by that point, by the time you're running Maui check, by the end of Maui check, you should have your system at a good baseline, and it should start building things.
Awesome. So let me back up a few steps and ask you some basic questions here. Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of us are scared of YAML. What is the best place to learn?
Good question. I wish I knew. What is a good place to learn? You know what? I just showed you the way I start. I basically go look at samples. I look at how other people's scripts are, and then I start with that. I use what they do and then add and build on top of it. Some stuff that has helped me, so with with YAML, the main issue is the syntax is weird. It's really space oriented and it's not the funnest thing to write. Let's see. So this is what the old Xamarin pipelines look like. I don't know why I was here, but anyways, let's take a look at this. So if I were to start, what am I doing?
So the chat room is saying your strategy is pretty good. Just copy paste, start from somewhere.
I mean, hey, someone did the work for you. Just give them the credit, right? So okay, so this is what I like to do. So I sometimes tend to edit the YAML files in the web browser itself, right? So it's just kind of I don't know if you remember the old Azure. So it's kind of, even in Azure DevOps, I would do this. So if you're using YAML in GitHub Actions or in Azure DevOps, the YAML is slightly different between the two, in the sense that the names of the tasks and a little bit of the syntax is different, but the basic YAML concept stays the same. The spacing, the tabbing, all that stuff is the same, right? So I like doing it this way, because then if I'm typing things, the system tends to just scream at you that oh, what is this crap? You can't do this over here. So there's a little bit IntelliSense. It's not the best IntelliSense, but it's at least something. There's also marketplace stuff you can just search and just be oh, okay, these are the things you can do. And then that'll give you a stubbed in, it'll give you a little thing that you can grab, and you can grab from here, or you can just stub it in. This is this new thing that has come in, which I haven't explored a lot of, but there is this documentation thing now that's part of writing a workflow in here, which kind of helps if you want to just take these basic building blocks that stay the same. The thing is though, my tip would be, if you're starting a brand new pipeline, either use the wizard that generates a pipeline by default in DevOps or in GitHub Actions, that gives you a starter template, and then build on that, because there's sort of basic stuff that's going to be exactly the same. You don't want to change, and then you want to just use that and then add more things as you build. If you're migrating from an existing Xamarin, this is my existing Xamarin pipeline, right? So if I have a pipeline already, I just go in and edit on this. Mm-hmm. So I'd come in and add that Maui check step in here. I'd come in and add that Net 6 install step here, and then switch out the MS Build stuff to .NET. That's where I would start. So I wouldn't sit and start and write anything from scratch, because honest to God, everything is going to stay the same. This upload stuff is going to stay the same. This NuGet, someone in the chat just asked about how to deal with secrets in NuGet packages. You can check out this pipeline of mine. So this is...
So while you're doing that, folks in the chat room, you got one last minute here before our human behind the social channels draws your names to get you some prizes. So go ahead and do that if you haven't done. And Bounty, I think that's Alex. Yeah.
Yep,
Saying,
that's Alex.
jumping at the deep end is the fun way to learn.
It is.
And so AC Nichols had said something about learning YAML, use Docker.
That's a good one too. Yep, because then your Docker config, like your Docker setup files are YAML files too. So yeah, that's one way to go. I don't do a lot of Docker on a day-to-day, so I don't get a chance to do it that way. So I do it here, where I go to random open source repos that don't have YAML and DevOps, and I go add DevOps for them. So yes, I know David is definitely looking forward to my PR for Weather 21, and I am hoping to get it fixed up, but at the very least, if not, I'll put in the PR to get the Windows pipeline in so everybody can have a look at it. And yeah, someone asked about how to deal with NuGet package secrets. So that is a Xamarin app that does Chromecast, which is a blog post I published a couple of weeks ago. And that is the DevOps pipeline for that. So that uses a NuGet package from one of our private repositories. So you can just check that out over there. Yeah, and like I said, as part of the migration, I will definitely recommend, if you're not using the repository system, get on Git, because you want to just make sure you're not breaking your one single copy of your app. Make it into a branch and attach just that single branch to a DevOps pipeline that's building your Maui stuff for you, just to make sure stuff's not building. I think honestly that if I was personally migrating my apps, that's how I would be doing it, and that's how I'm seeing a lot of people do it, and I think it's a good trend. Definitely recommend doing it that way.
Okay, so a couple of questions. The marketplace and the documentation you showed, like that's pulling from where exactly? This is the GitHub Actions marketplace?
The GitHub. Yeah, the GitHub. So this is the GitHub Actions marketplace. Like there's the Azure DevOps Tasks marketplace. This is similar to that. So yeah. So like I was saying, yeah. So this is my first step, just to get like a starter basic pipeline going. And if I need to, I pull in stuff based on what I'm requiring. But after that, most of the time, you guys will find me here, man. I live in VS Code. And do I have any special, so there is Git, let's see. It's a GitHub Actions. Not what I have installed. Okay, let's see. Am I using anything special for this? I have literally nothing installed, but something is definitely giving me some weird sense of like IntelliSense here. So I don't remember which one it is. I'm gonna try and find. Maybe there's like a YAML one. Oh yeah. There's this just generic YAML one I have. First of all, that I think just gives me a bit of. Yeah, so I have that. The docs team has like a gazillion one of them. You can try the docs YAML. I don't think it does much, but I think these actually are coming from this YAML extension. But if anyone has any other YAML extensions they like, please share. But yeah, so once I'm done, I kind of like doing it in VS Code, because then you get to see the freaking lines and the spacing. That's the easiest way to make sure you're on the right indent, because it's all about the indentation. The syntax itself, it takes a little getting used to, but once you're in the flow, you're in the flow. But also I'd suggest getting into the habit of creating templated pipelines for yourself. Like these pipelines don't really change much. If you look about, like I said, it's always build, and then maybe there's a test step and then a release. Those are always standard, generic, the same. If one person in your team has created it, it should be just standard practice. You share it and let the rest of the team just like, borrow, like my team does. They wait for me to do it, and then they just use what I do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but that's just, I think that's one way to do it. I agree YAML is irritating and not the best thing to write in, but what you gonna do?
Yeah. For .NET Maui, like you were saying, like Maui check is such a brilliant thing, because it just does all of those checks and it just installs everything for you. So I hope they continue having it going forward. So let me ask you maybe two more things here. So when it comes to mobile DevOps, it's a trickier game, right, compared to like web or desktop, because now you actually have an app package and you're trying to push it out. And I think we had like a Twitter thread about this before. So this is GitHub Actions, but how does this work with something where you're trying to manage the distribution of your apps and your app packages? Something that like I'm drawing a blank here. what's the thing we use for private distribution of mobile apps?
Like Test Flight in iOS, Google Beta, or App
No,
Center?
just App Center. Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
VS App Center. So
Gotcha.
where's the plugin?
So let's see. Let's go back to what was I thinking? Oh yeah, I'm in Weather 21. So for distribution, all the distribution service in App Center requires is your APK. And if you notice, I have my APK. I'm publishing it here, but literally it's just a matter of moving. So let's look at that dev. So this is that pipeline, right? So what I decided to do is with the APK that's generated from this build step, I'm just copying it into artifacts folder. But what you want to do is App Center has a CLI tool. So App Center doesn't need a special task. Everything that we're doing is literally off CLI tools. We're not doing anything like special off a special task. We're just using CLI tools directly, right? So just use the App Center CLI tool, send this APK for distribution as you would. The APK remains the same. It's not something special or magical. You're just using App Center. So same thing. Once you have your build for your Google, suppose you're sending it to Google Play Store, same logic. There's a Google Play Store task in Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions, whatever you're using. It's all a matter. Once your build is complete and you have your binaries, after that, those systems really don't care how or what you use to build it. They just expect you to provide it with an APK, and you have a paid subscription or whatever with them.
And can you pluck out that APK from their artifacts, or where is this being saved?
So it's actually, if you look at the path, it's actually the generic build path where any binary would go when you build your MAUI app, when you build a native Android app, wherever you will, whatever you build. So it's all a matter of you knowing where your app is going. Sure. This is the generic path where the MAUI apps go to. For iOS, same process. Just do a star, maybe remove the sign and just do a star.ipa. It'll grab your IPA for you. So you can isolate where the thing is. So I could have done something like copy it into a separate folder and then maybe run the App Center CLI tool from there. Completely normal, completely fine. You can just put this path and let App Center CLI go to the folder path and grab the APK for you. There's multiple different ways to do it. But the fact of the matter is, use the CLI tools as much as you can. Gives you a lot more control. And suppose you're having some wonkiness with your DevOps pipeline, it's not working, try it locally on your machine. Because like I said, these are CLI tools, so you shouldn't need to have to just wait for the build to run, because these are really long and these are annoying to wait for. So just run it locally on your machine. If the CLI tools are working on your machine, they will work on the pipeline. So. Okay,
hang on 1 second here. My beloved earpods are dying. And it's buzzing in my ear to say you've used them too long. So I'm going to switch to a wired thing just for a second, if I can get it untangled. Sorry about that. That's what happens. Like, AirPods are good for like 7-8 hours, and beyond that, they're like, eh.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I can still hear you. I think
testing.
There we go. Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's awesome. If you are using any type of like VS App Center or Test Flight, you can actually pull the app packages out and get going. Okay, let me back up a step here, and we got like maybe 2 more minutes here. But since you and Alex and your team works so much with customers, like not just MAUI now, but Xamarin customers who are successful, any crazy stories, without taking names, like anything, what's the craziest thing you see in terms of build?
There's nothing that stands out as crazy, I guess. I just, our community, I think I always say that, but our community is actually one of the best communities, I feel like. There's so much of content everybody shares that it's so easy for anyone to go, just see things and how things are done and, learn how to do things. Thanks, Alex. I feel like there's more stories about Alex to talk about and than about our customers. Let me think. If you listen to the Medusa Xamarin show episode and the live person, I think Xamarin show episode, And even I think the Oscars live show, Xamarin show episode, they actually talk about their whole end-to-end lifecycle journey. So not just about building the apps, but like, setting up DevOps and then reaping the benefits from that. So it's lovely to see our ecosystem that works so well, but it's really nice. I personally, like I said, I'm super excited to see us get even closer and tighten the loop even more. Because I swear to God, if I have to write one more DevOps pipeline where I'm setting up MS build specifically for something else, I will cry. I would just like everything to just run with .NET, because everything is .NET. Everything runs on .NET. So,
Any stories about Alex?
oh, that's my teammate Dean. He worked on Medusa. So yeah, yeah. So no, we have apart from like. Yeah, sure, there might have been like fun, silly moments with our customers, but it's really there's a lot to learn from all of the customer success stories that we share on the showcase and in the podcast. Especially, I feel in the podcast, because you can actually hear the actual customers talk about it. So it's really interesting. They talk about like the bad experiences and the good experiences, the lessons they learned and things. So it's super cool.
Yeah, and folks were asking, I think earlier today, like just like there's a Xamarin podcast, a Xamarin show. Will there be a Maui podcast and a Maui show?
Well, I don't know if anyone caught that last episode of the Xamarin podcast, but that is it is accepting the change, and it's going to be the Maui podcast moving forward. Same thing with the customer showcase. I'd assume, Alex, we'd be changing the name of it soon. So yeah, everything also, like I said, this DevOps journey right now might feel a little wonky to everyone, and I understand, because I'm with you. I know it's like a lot of, like, I'm telling you to use a script and I'm telling you to like do these weird install things, but like I said, this is just the growing pains just for now. As soon as this is in, it'll be a lot smoother, a lot nicer, and the closer we get to release, I at least will make sure Weather 21's DevOps is updated to show all the new things. But yes, we will make sure that you'll start seeing as we get closer, like a more fledged out pipeline, see how things are done. So yep.
Nice. All right, so Sweeky, a lot of folks in the chat room have said this, but I think this kind of wraps up our feelings for you. You are super cool and nerdy, and like however it is that you started, like you're the face of DevOps now. So thank you for all that you do. This is great, and you and Alex and the whole team. So thank you. So yeah, come and teach us more, because like you said, like DevOps, I think like has just come, the loop has tightened so much. Like this is much more closer to how developers think about things, and it's just there's a lot to learn. Sometimes we tend to avoid it, but we have to learn.
Yeah, no. This is what I'd say. If this is kind of what I used to say about testing as well. If you don't have tests, don't start writing a brand freaking 100 test suite right now. The next bug that you fix, add a test for that bug so it doesn't repeat. And I trust you, like in like 3 weeks, you'll have a test suite by default, just by all the bugs you're fixing. Same approach with DevOps. You kind of do these build steps every day on your machine at one point or another. Even if you're just hitting the play button on VS, if you go look at that output, you'll see all the command line. It's all just doing command line at the end of the day. So if you get a little bit more comfortable running those command line, options on your machine locally, your DevOps scripts, be it in Azure DevOps, be it in GitHub Actions, is literally those same command line things that you're just running on that machine, and just sort of wrapping it in the script and breaking them up into tasks. So that's right. So it's a two-way system. So if your build is not working, try running those scripts locally on your machine. If it's working locally in the machine, then you can debug what's going on in your DevOps machine. So it's just a matter of getting those versions to align. And like I said, I shared that nifty little, website, the docs page that has everything in it, which this is what happens. I share it, then I forget. Okay, there we go. Then you go to this page, which literally has everything you would need, because this has check out all the versions of all the tooling and check out the FAQ section for scripts and how to change the versions. You're golden. That's it.
Well said. Start somewhere. All right, so this has been hard all day today. Like every one of the speakers, I could talk about this stuff with you for such a long time. You're so passionate. So Sweeky, I want to maybe bring your desktop down. Thank you all in the chat room. You have been amazing all throughout the day. Hopefully, Maddie, thank you. That's kind of you. Hopefully, what you see is like our excitement for .NET MAUI. This is an interesting chapter. It's the next evolution, and I think going forward, developers should have more confidence with .NET to target all of these platforms and just kind of light up apps from a single code base, single projectification is what we heard. So all of those things are great things to
through the CLI tool.
Through the CLI tool, yeah, CLI everywhere, because the crux of it is how your visual tools or IDEs are working. So thank you so much. Yeah, Rafton, thank you everyone, and yeah, Dean, Faisal, thank you. Thanks for kind words, and it's been fun. I'm excited, and it's like you said, Sweeky, like the community is so good. Like there's just so much to learn, and we are going to be stuck with problems. Again, a lot of it is preview, but again, we are all in this together. Let's figure things out and make things work. So a huge thank you to all of the speakers, and Sweeky, since I have you on screen, thank you for taking the time out to do this. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Big thank you to the .NET MAUI team and everybody contributing open source. So thank you all, and hopefully you had fun, and we shall see you on the next stream. Until then, stay safe, stay productive, stay happy. Okay. All right. Bye-bye for now.